Good morning or afternoon, everyone. This is Jeffrey from Parker Dewey. Really excited to have everyone join today as we discuss a little bit about micro-internship programs. Really wanted to take some time before the new campus recruiting season formally kicks off next week for so many companies to share some of the insights that we heard from students during our annual student sentiment survey on how they want to be recruited, and also some strategies that companies can use to overcome what's going to be another interesting, for lack of a better term, here in campus recruiting. I'm joined by my colleague today, Kristin Schrader, who leads our work with the university's nonprofits and students. Thanks so much for joining, Kristin.
Of course.
Should we jump right into some of the challenges for this year?
Yeah, I think so. And keeping in mind, we know how busy this time of the year can be. We are recording this, happy to send out some follow-up and continue the conversation. We'll also have the chat open in case you do have questions real time or thoughts. But here are some of the challenges that we're hearing from you all, specifically this inability to access particularly diverse candidates, whatever demographic that you're reaching, whether it be students who are from minority backgrounds or LGBTQ students or female students or any, again, you pick your target population. We're hearing a lot of companies who are trying to figure out, how do I connect with students as soon as possible, as soon as they step on campus, sometimes even before that. And then even for those that they're starting to build these relationships with, how do you effectively measure and identify those who have the right skills? Especially with my work in career services, if the students come and did what we tell them to do, their resumes probably look pretty good. And so how can you distinguish between a student who really does have the skills that are going to be a good fit for your organization? How do you attract a student who is from a geographic area that may not be as appealing as others? In my HR and recruiting days, I used to recruit for Appalachian, Kentucky, and saw a little bit of a sell for some folks to leave their geographic location. So those of you who may have that as a challenge. And then just the brand, especially if you maybe aren't as much of a household name, or maybe you are not as much of a household name for the demographics of students that you're looking for. And so got a number of different solutions and then case studies that we'll be sharing with you of what some other organizations who have these specific challenges can and some of the solutions that they've used.
And these challenges aren't just ones from COVID either. I mean, these existed before COVID, they'll exist again after. I mean, even to your point about employer brand, think about some of the well-known brands, companies like Pepsi or Nike that every college student knows, but may have preconceived notions about what it means to work there. So again, it's been interesting to see how so many of those challenges have been amplified by COVID, but still exist even as we're emerging out of it.
Right. And when we talk to the students, because we are kind of a nice way to be able to interface with both the students and to all of you, what they're saying is, first of all, they're tired, and that they are just overwhelmed by lots of options, which is great, but that they are starting as early as possible. Their number one reason for going to college and to getting involved with campus recruiting is they just are so excited and want to put to work what they're learning in the classroom. What they've learned, especially since a lot of them have done online learning over the past few years, they're just itching to be able to put into practice. And keep in mind, when the student sentiment survey that we just completed, 76% of those respondents came from underrepresented backgrounds. And 72% of them were saying that they're starting as early as possible to be thinking about these their different career plans, their different options. So how do they want to engage? Well, what they told us, they want that real world experience, and paid being a big component to that. It's no surprise, students, like everybody, they have bills to pay, but particularly those who are coming from underrepresented backgrounds. So oftentimes they may have some extra financial challenges that just preclude them from being able to have access to opportunities that are not paid. And they want to be able to understand and connect directly with a hiring manager, to be able to connect directly with professionals in whatever field that they want to go to. And this is not just for students who are in pre-professional programs like business or engineering, but we're hearing from the liberal arts students, from the nursing students, from the education students, you name it. What are some of the obstacles they're facing? Not getting those interviews, not being able to get those offers, lack of confidence is a big one for students. The imposter syndrome. I'm seeing lots and lots of articles written by career centers about how to help support students with some of those confidence issues. And so these are the challenges. They want to be able to get some experience and to be able to try lots of different opportunities before making those longer term commitments of what is the right internship or full-time role. Because they only have so many only so many summers to complete an internship. And they have to make a lot of important decisions very, very early in the process.
And one of the things that jumps out at me, again, is really that stat up at the top, that 72%, that they're looking to explore, they're looking to get the experience, they're looking to build the relationships in a way that goes beyond what they get from an employer's website or an info session. But so many of the efforts of employers are focused on students when it's too late. The student who's the junior or senior and has already determined what is the right path or the right company. And it's really, really unfortunate since students are so hungry for those experiences in that exploration. It's a big reason why we created this concept of the micro-internship 7 years ago. And again, just real quickly, hopefully everyone on here has heard of micro-internships before, but I'm going to quickly hit what they are. They're short-term paid professional projects completed by college students or recent grads on behalf of busy professionals. And again, short-term, meaning these are projects that typically take a student between 10 and 40 hours to complete, can be done year-round, typically done remote. For companies, they're easy to use. Again, don't think about them as a replacement for the summer internship or full-time role, but rather these are just short-term projects that the students can complete that provide that immediate support for busy professionals, but also helps companies identify, engage, assess, build relationships with individuals. And since they're not the employee or contractor or intern of the company, they're again, really, really, really easy to implement, and we'll talk more about that. And what we love about them is they engage the students how they want. So again, from that same student sentiment survey, we found that 93% of the students want to be engaged with real paid projects, and they're not doing it for the money. To Kristin's point, they're paid, but the reason they're paid is to ensure that everyone has equitable access, not just those who can afford to spend 5, 10, 20 hours doing free work for the hope that maybe they'll be interviewed. They're paid to make sure, again, everyone has that access. And they're providing students with those real insights. But what's great is they're also a way to engage students early on, whether it's freshman, sophomore year, or for the student who may have preconceived notions about an industry, et cetera. The other thing we found, to Kristin's point about the ability to assess someone, what we found is that from public surveys, only 43% of hiring managers perceive college students as job ready, 43%. What we found is through the micro-internships, over 98% of those students exceed expectations. And what's great is these micro-internships, these short-term projects, allow students to demonstrate those core skills, those skills that are so hard to assess from a resume or an interview. And that's one of the reasons why recruiters love them so much. Now, again, they drive real value for the hiring managers. So again, hiring managers appreciate the ability to get this on-demand support. They love the opportunity to give back to students, to mentor and coach. Also, it helps them get projects done, projects that they don't have time to complete themselves or may not be the best use of time. Students obviously value these opportunities, not just because of the pay, but the opportunity to demonstrate their skills and explore career paths and learn about companies they may not have been thinking about. Or back to Kristin's point before, maybe they're from Kentucky, but they attend school in Boston or California or Washington State, and they'd love to return home, but aren't thinking about what options are available to them. And those companies aren't recruiting at those campuses because they're not focus schools. Students are hungry. Oh, no, please.
Please. And one thing too is that they're eager to connect directly with those hiring managers as well. Relationships are so important for students, the peer-to-peer relationship, but especially who are they going to be working with? And that's a big decision factor when they're deciding what is the right opportunity for them. So this just gives them another chance to be able to connect directly with those managers.
And I'm happy you brought that up. I mean, that ties to a lot of initiatives we're seeing where companies are engaging their ERG members, not just to show up at a panel or visit for a career fair, but actually giving real opportunities for college students from underrepresented backgrounds to work with ERG members from similar backgrounds to build those authentic relationships. And while the hiring managers and the students see real value from this, what's great is behind the scenes, the recruiters are getting the benefits as well, whether it's measured by lower cost per hire, better conversion, increased reach, less time spent doing informational interviews and phone screens, better hiring outcomes. Again, all of these things are outcomes. It also aligns to, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kristin.
No, I mean, we're seeing such a wide variety of ways that this can be fit in to complement a recruiting strategy, as Jeffrey was just saying, but with true intent and purpose. Again, DEI is a big one, so that whether it's these short-term projects to engage your ERGs to add a benefit for those organizations to be able to say, hey, you are committed to hiring with a diverse workforce, fantastic. Well, here's a way for those members to be able to interface directly with students who are like them, that match their demographic, to be able to not only provide a benefit to those current management and employees, but also to be able to kind of fuel that hiring channel to be able to add some additional individuals from these diverse backgrounds to your talent acquisition pipeline. It's a way to help ensure that those hiring managers have a voice in the recruitment process, which can certainly drive their ultimate satisfaction with whoever you're bringing onto their team. And what we're seeing, and you'll see some metrics later on, but we're seeing that not only our opportunities are being filled faster, but the retention and renege rates and so on are all much more beneficial as well. But Jeffrey, let's go ahead and jump into a little bit more about how schools and how organizations are doing this at scale, because I would imagine many of you have probably had a micro intern, maybe 2, 3, 4, and it's certainly can see some benefit for those single projects. But what we're seeing is those organizations who are leveraging this concept at scale and really allowing through these multiple projects to be able to engage from our network of thousands of students and colleges across the country, to be able to work with students across a wide variety of backgrounds, you name it, you name the type of school, and to be able to see those skills in action through these short-term projects and to be able to drive those more effective hires through these short-term engagements. Jeffrey, if you could kind of break it down, like what is that switch from single project to programs look like?
No, and I'm happy you brought that up, because again, part of it is how do you do it at scale and do it in a way that sort of works and doesn't break the budget and actually winds up lowering the cost. And one of the things, again, while you might be familiar with the on-demand projects and the individual micro-internships, the goal is really, again, how do you make this a key part of a campus recruiting strategy to overcome those challenges that Kristin highlighted before? Again, just as a quick reminder, the micro-internships are easy, and you can go post those project by project. You get on-demand support, hiring managers appreciate the benefits, there's no HR administrative burdens. Where things become more interesting is when it's more intentional, tied to a program, when you can drive access for specific student populations. So for companies that are really interested in reaching students who might be originally from, again, Kentucky, but attend school elsewhere, or students that are very focused on engaging underclassmen. We're talking with a lot of organizations that want to deepen their focus on HBCUs and HSIs. Doing the programs lets you be a little bit more intentional in accessing those students. Same thing with engaging them. It goes beyond just showing up to the career fair and hosting a super day. Where programs really work is it builds those authentic relationships between the managers and students, and it engages the students in the way they want to be engaged. So think about how much time, money, and effort companies are spending trying to convince college students to show up to the career fair or the info session. Guess what? What we're hearing from students is they're only showing up if they're already planning to apply. And they're showing up to get the right talking points or keywords to use in the interview or when they're applying for the job. What we found is by doing these programs, you can actually engage the students while they're still in that exploratory phase and do so in the way they want to engage, which means it's not difficult. And then ultimately assess them, see their skills in action beyond what you're capturing from a resume or interview, and then ultimately leading to better hiring outcomes. Whether it's hiring measured by conversion, retention, cost per hire, diversity, et cetera, the programs let you do that a little more intentionally. And again, part of what we found over the past several years is when we doing those intentional programs, we're able to provide those insights to the companies, not just from the program itself, but insights that can be used for future recruiting efforts. Are there schools that have great candidates that might not be focus schools yet, and where you're potentially missing? Are students not thinking about roles in certain departments? Again, using all of those insights to really improve the process both this year and in the future. The other thing that's wonderful about these programs is they can be launched in days, not weeks. Again, having done this for 7 years, we've made it really, really easy. What we're doing is understanding the goals of a specific company. If a company's trying to expand geographic reach or improve DEI or lower their cost per hire, maybe they're growing rapidly and they're having trouble filling certain types of roles. All we need to do is understand those goals. From there, what we've seen time and time and time again is we're able to leverage that expertise coupled with the relationships with the students in the schools to really design a program that aligns to the goals of the company. And that even includes things like designing specific micro-internships. We worked with a company, and we'll go through some of the case studies in a minute, where they were very, very intentionally trying to fill a marketing role. Part of what we did was looked at the full-time job description for that marketing role and unpacked it into specific projects. Using that 7 years of data to know these are the types of projects that both align to that marketing role to allow you to engage and assess, but also provide that immediate value to the hiring manager. Again, making it easy to introduce. And again, the outcomes show, I guess they say it all. The fact that over 80% of students who complete these projects come from underrepresented populations, that it lowers the cost per hire for companies anywhere from 40 to 80% while improving retention. And Kristin, do you want to talk about some of the goals that the companies have?
Yeah, we mentioned a few of these already, and I think we're most excited about just sharing some specific examples of companies who have implemented programs with these specific goals in mind, and how do they do it? And so let's just dig into that. And first and foremost, we're going to talk a little bit about a company, a global water technology company, multi-billion-dollar company that, frankly, I had never heard of. And their whole goal is to try to help bring fresh water across the world to these underserved populations. And you think about how many students would be motivated by a goal and a mission like that, but they go to a career fair and nobody's ever heard of them. And so how do they build their brand? And that was the big challenge that they had for their micro-internship program. And so, they're a technology company at the core, but they created a bunch of different projects from a variety of different departments within their organization, things like developing dashboards and analyzing market trends and so on. And their results, they had over 1,000 different students that were targeted through their micro-internship program and campaign, engaging students from over 450 schools, significantly, as in their words, expanding their pipeline. And they continue to post projects. They're posting projects right before this session started to do, again, further expand their program across different departments, because these departments are really seeing the value, in addition to the HR and recruiting teams that are really seeing the value in terms of augmenting their talent acquisition pipeline. And then another example, a global aerospace and defense company that was focused on challenges around diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, they are, being a government contractor, they have a lot of questions initially around, okay, how can we implement something like this, given the sensitivity of the types of work that they do, naturally being a government contractor? And so their projects were quite a mix of things that use public-facing type of data, not anything sensitive, of course. They had some interesting projects around analyzing acoustic data and using various types of technologies that, again, were not proprietary or anything that was top secret or anything like that. And then they had some really interesting HR research projects around doing research in STEM and doing research around inventory management and a variety of different projects. And again, focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how do they reach students from a variety of different backgrounds. They had over 800, close to 900 candidates they worked with, and then lots of diversity around particularly BIPOC and female candidates and 335 different schools. And so they are really able to, as in their words, create some more meaningful engagements through these different short-term projects.
And I want to hit something you said, because again, one of the questions that comes up often is, do my managers really have these types of projects, or everything we do is highly sensitive? I mean, Kristin, especially given your background with this company, I mean, they're a government contractor, deal with a ton of things with clearances. I mean, we worked very, very closely with them behind the scenes to make sure that all of these projects didn't require access to anything sensitive. So even an organization like this was able to use it. And what was nice about it is we're able to use the data from the past 7 years to know that within marketing, here's perfect examples of projects they could do, or even within data analysis, here's projects that their managers would have that wouldn't require access to anything sensitive.
And what's been really cool with this particular program as well is that once they started thinking through these ideas, then it was just a flywheel that just kept turning and turning. And they too are posting projects. I happened to see right before this conversation started, some new opportunities, because again, as word is spreading through the companies, they are very, very excited, and their hiring managers are really, everyone's short-staffed right now. So this is really allowing them to have that extra set of hands on demand. And then this is another one of my personal favorites, which was a company that had a specific goal around hiring students. They were particularly focused on sales roles, but it was a medical device company. And, again, students don't really know too much about medical devices in most cases. They would go to career fairs and really having a hard time attracting the students that were interested in these sales roles. And so their project was essentially an audition around how do you do research on one of our products, prepare a sales pitch, and deliver it. So a very short-term project that they ended up hiring a bunch of different students from a bunch of different schools, and you can see the statistics on the slide, but focusing on, again, trying to audition who is the right fit for the role. And these short-term projects not only gave the students experience that they can then put on their resume, but this company was interested in hiring full-time. And so through these projects, they really identified who was interested and a good fit for that full-time role. And they converted a bunch of these different students in the company. They worded, I love their comments that you see on the slide. It gave them a full 360 view of the person and how they're going to act. And I know that a number of those students, when they got the offer, they accepted without even knowing the salary, because they were so excited to be able to work and continue working with the organization, because they too had that authentic interaction and to be able to know for sure that they were making the right decision for them.
And by the way, if you haven't seen it yet, I urge you to watch the session from last week or the week before with Alice and Keith from this company. And again, they've given us permission to mention their name. But Allison and the student from UNC talked a little bit about this program and some of the outcomes. And it's so inspiring and incredible how it truly creates a win-win, a positive outcome for the company, because they were able to audition and hire for this role and build brand recognition with students who might not know, and target specific geographies, and do so in a way that, again, hiring managers also appreciate the immediate support. The next example is a company that was a software business, and part of what they were trying to do was, again, build more awareness, both for themselves and for other companies for their software product. And what they essentially did was sponsored projects that were done both within their own organization, but also on behalf of companies that were clients and users of their product. And it was incredible, because not only was it supporting the diversity, equity, and inclusion and other mission-oriented aspects of this global software company, what it was also doing was sending a signal to clients, sending a signal to them about the importance of diversity, but also helping their clients identify and engage talent that might not otherwise be reached, talent that might be missed. And again, the outcome was incredible. And in fact, they also were partnering with some of the colleges and universities, and over 900 professors were engaged in this program, which, again, you talk about something that's very, very scalable. This was incredible, and the outcomes were off the charts. And then the final example was a global financial technology company. wasn't well known by students, even though it's traded on the New York Stock Exchange and is a Fortune 500 business. They were trying to engage more students and then also assessing their skills. And this was something that was positioned as a perk to hiring managers, something that hiring managers were able to use on their own, that they viewed as a benefit to get that immediate support because this organization was growing so fast. And at the same time, the talent recruiting team or talent acquisition team was saying this was helping us, again, engage and assess. And they wound up driving almost 1,000 candidates from what were very, very few micro-internships, including those from over 330 different schools. They also had over a 95% conversion of offer to hire. Think about that, 95% plus. I think that is unheard of. And this was something that launched in under a week. I mean, it was just absolutely incredible. And again, one of the questions becomes, what does this cost? Well, we just showed some examples of different companies of different sizes. So company A was looking to make 10 hires. They wound up offering 25 micro-internships with their view of, hey, if 25 of these go reasonably well, hopefully we'll wind up making some number of offers and we'll get 10 hires. Long story short, the program went incredibly well. They wound up making 13 offers, 12 of which converted. The total cost for them was $13,000, and that includes all of the payments to the students. So again, this isn't $13,000 to buy marketing services or something. That money was going in the students' pockets. Their cost per hire was 82% less than the NACE average. Another company, Company C, said, we're looking to make 100 hires. They had 200 different micro interns. They ultimately made 130 offers, and they did it on a rolling basis. And when they hit 100, they stopped. Again, 77% conversion of offer to hire, lowered the cost per hire to under $1,000, and that ignores the value of the work that students did. And again, these are just some examples, but just to give you some idea of the cost effectiveness. So what now? Well, this is easy to introduce. Best ways to think about it, obviously, we all have small projects on our plate. You can use micro interns to get help on those small projects. But from a programmatic perspective, think about teams that are hiring, teams that you're constantly having trouble filling those roles, or they're growing quickly and you can't keep up. What a great opportunity to engage them. Folks in your organizations that are already using freelancers, they already recognize that they have projects on their plate they don't have time for. Again, great opportunity to get some support. Busy employees can offer this as a perk. Can even think about those who might be earlier in their career, providing a first managerial experience. ERGs are incredible. We're seeing a ton of examples where organizations are engaging their ERGs. The ERGs love it because it goes beyond wearing the t-shirt or hanging the banner. This is showing the organization's real commitment to providing equitable pathways, but it's also leading to better recruiting and hiring outcomes because the students are building those authentic relationships, back to Kristin's point. And then specific university fans. Again, I know I went to Indiana University, the opportunity to give a micro internship to an IU student, my company was coming to play. That's exciting. Again, and professionals are looking for ways to give back. And there's so many opportunities, and obviously we're happy to work with you and talk through other examples we've seen or situations that might be specific to your organization. Kristin, anything I missed?
No, but as an Ohio State alum, double alum, I'll appreciate that Indiana comment, especially with college football starting this weekend. But no, we just really want to thank you all for taking a few moments to hear a bit about micro-internships, how they can be used at scale, especially given the challenges and complexities of this upcoming college recruiting season. Just really love to continue the conversation and see if this might be something that could fit in.
And what's nice about it is all of these examples were given. First of all, they are less expensive than things taking place right now and can be done in a way that doesn't require additional budget, but also they're implementable. These are all ideas that organizations can implement right now. We know campus recruiting is about to get super busy. We know career fairs and info sessions are about to start, and everyone is going to be super busy with those things and should continue to participate in them. Think about this very much as a complement. It's a way to support and amplify all of those efforts you're doing and something that can be turned on seamlessly. So again, please let us know if you have questions. Kristin and I and everyone at the Parker Dewey team are obviously just very passionate about this. Anything that creates equitable opportunities for those launching their career and does so in a way that supports employers and universities, we're supportive of. So please let us know if we can be of any help. Happy to answer any other questions if folks want to use the chat or Q&A. Otherwise, Kristin, we kept it under a half hour.
I know, which is saying a lot for people as talkative as you and I are.
Thank you so much for the time. We'll share the slides and recording afterwards. And have a wonderful week, everyone, and a great holiday weekend.
Take care.